All right, Kiss Army, welcome to the KissFAQ podcast. Thank you for giving us your time today and letting us into your head. I hope we don't do any damage. This is a Kiss-related podcast by the board for the board. We hope that you enjoy. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, we're taping. All right. Welcome to episode 100. Take two. Welcome to episode 121 of the KissFAQ podcast. I'm not your host today, Julian Gill, and I'm joined by St. Louis Kiss, Lonnie. And
what's up?
We may be having our third talking head join. But until then, we're just going to proceed with today's news first. And a book arrived for me in the post from Spain. And it is Dressed for Revenge, written by Raul. I'm not going to butcher his last name, and Carlos. And it is the Spanish discography, everything related to Kiss in Spain, in Spanish and English.
Very nice.
Mucho gracias, amigos. Great that they wrote it in bilingual, so that those of us who don't speak Spanish can understand what is in there. It's very nicely put together. I think it's 288 pages, 1,500 photographs. It's color inside, so congratulations on doing that, especially for the price, which I thought was a really good buy. If you're interested in that, you can find these guys on Facebook. And I've read the email address out before for these guys, and it's Destroyer Resurrected, only one R separating those two words, at gmail.com. If not, find me on Facebook, and I'll see if I can put the link in the post for this episode of the podcast so that you can find them. And I'm just going to quickly have one more check on our third party. Okay, so my change of schedule this week has probably screwed everything up, so I'm going to turn the microphone over to Lonnie.
It's a real treat. So this week we are discussing, and if you're on the board, you've probably seen that Julian went to the show in Reno on Friday night. And not only did he go to the show, he did the meet and greet, the full-on, first-class, A1 Kiss experience that you can do for a normal, regular show. So, Julian, why don't you just, for starters, just walk us through your day a little bit? I know that you drove there day of, and just walk us through that experience. What was everything like?
The day started really early for me. I had to go to work, number one, and get out of San Francisco really early, because I've not done the Northern Sierras, the drive to Reno before, so I didn't know what the roads are going to be like even at this time of year, whether there was going to be any ice or shit like that. I even bought a pair of chains for the car just in case. Fantastic drive, nice and early, no rush hour in Sacramento, so I got to Reno at, I think it was like 9:30, and I was like, okay, boom, I can't check into the hotel until I think it was 3 o'clock check-in at the Grand Sierra. I was like, I've got a list of record stores here. So I hop in the car, go to the first one. Not a single fucking Kiss item in the store.
That sucks.
Not a single Aerosmith item in the store. Not a single Dokken, Def Leppard, Dio, Motley Crue.
What kind of record store did you go to?
One that apparently had probably been picked clean by the vultures before I got there. So, and they did have the Gene Simmons solo cassette, White Spine from '78 issue. I didn't buy it because I couldn't remember if the one I already have at home had screws in the tape media or not, whether I needed one or not. Even though it was nothing, it was like, okay, fuck this. And then I get to the next one and they're not open until 12:30. Like, what? There's a concert in town and you're not open? Okay.
12:30.
Yeah. And then the last one just looked lame, so I went back to the hotel and did some gambling and won enough money to pay for my dinner and beer.
That's good. That's a bonus.
Yeah. I gotta say, Grand Sierra, fantastic joint. I'm not big on gambling. I was just so bored that I had nothing else to do, so we got the emails for the meet and greets I think it was the day before the show, saying you have to be at the will call. There'll be a table set up there. You have to be there at 2 p.m. or else you may for instructions, or else you risk the chance of missing the event. And it actually turned out to be pretty accurate. I got there at, I think, 1:45. One of the chaps that I've met at, 2 recent shows was there in line, so I joined him, chatted away, and I think we waited probably 30 minutes before anyone came out, so it was like 2:30 before they came out, so I'm so glad we were there on time. But the line filled up. There were probably, it's tough to do guesstimates. I'm not nibbler.
Yeah.
So counting heads, it looked like about 50. 40,
about
50.
50 or so.
40, 50 for the meet and greet. So a decent number. It's not like the Japanese one where there were 800.
Yeah, I've been at them where there's been like 12 of you, and I've been at one where there's like 200 people. So I've seen the two extremes. 50 is not bad, though.
Yeah, it was more than I remember from the ones I did in 2003 and 2004, but then again, a lot of those brain cells are long deceased, so I'm probably misremembering a shitload in trying to compare 2017 with, 13 years ago, 13, 14 years, so...
Well, 50's not too bad, though. I was at one, and there was like 200 of us at Chicago in 09, and they separated us. It was before they started doing that acoustic show prior to, but they like brought us in groups because there were so many of us. I can't imagine what 700 or 800 in Japan must have been like a couple of years ago for that. That had to have been a different experience altogether. But so you have to check in. So what time's the show supposed to start?
Immediately after check-in.
Well,
so
okay.
it really it turned out to be that we got there and lined up, and as soon as there was a good sized line, we could watch through the glass entrance to the theater, the venue, and they had the Kiss backdrop set up there. They were allegedly sound checking the equipment, and they were going to do the meet and greets right in that room, right where we were lined up, and it was going to happen immediately after, which I was absolutely stunned. I was like, okay, shit, I got to check in, I got to have dinner, and all this. Is this going to screw up my reservation at Charlie Palmer's? And so the guys come out at about 3:30ish, and say, run through their spiel of, this is what's going to happen. You're going to go in, you're going to, they're going to do the performance. Afterwards will be the signing. You have to be back here at 7 on the dot to go backstage and get your photo with them, with the band, with their makeup on, pardon me. Mm-hmm. So well organized. Once they started processing us in, it's, the deal. Here's the ID. It matches the name on their itinerary. They give you your security pass, your lanyard. They did not have your tickets, which I found a little bit annoying, that I had to then go back and get in line for the will call to get my ticket for the show. But, it's all organizational. It's just, would I have preferred one person to give it? Yeah. Is it easier for them probably to have the will call people do it? Yeah. So I get it. No big deal. End of the day. So we go in, and, it probably takes them a good 20 minutes to process everyone and get them in. They were efficient, simple as that. I will also hand it to the staff at the Grand Sierra. They were respectful. Often people doing these kind of meet and greet experiences are not treated with the greatest of respect. Let's put it that way. You're kind of looked down on in some places for doing that kind of special thing. They think you probably a bit uppity, thinking that you're doing something that your average Joe is not doing. So the staff were all very cool, except for the guy with the wand who was doing the bomb detector on me, who took exception to the San Jose earthquakes, but good-natured. He proved he had no taste whatsoever. But other than that, I go in. I was the first one in. I just planted myself, big mistake, right in front of Gene's bass amp, and that fucking blew up my recording of the show. But there you go, instant karma. Everyone else comes in. Once everyone's lined up, we're only probably 3 deep. across the backdrop. So it was lots of space. No one was jammed in. It was light. It was airy. It wasn't stuffy. It was comfortable for me.
That's good.
And I'm one of those people who are, like, really sensitive. The next night at Laughlin, they did it outside. So I'll take what happened to us in Reno any day. Indoors. So the band comes in. Paul first comes straight over. Hey, if you've seen the video that I put up of coming home, I think that's got the them walking in, and it may or may not, I can't remember. But Paul comes straight out, fist bump. Tommy comes in after, like, hey Tommy, how you doing? All that. As I think Ken Mills noticed, Gene comes in being led by Eric like he's a blind man and walks into the column and, just doing the little comedy routine.
Oh, shtick, yeah.
And, all of them were very gracious, very pleasant. They do these things so often probably that it probably becomes a little bit mind-numbing interacting with fans. But you couldn't really tell if that's the case. And maybe they do like it, but, they just came in, did their final tunings, and got into the music.
That's good. I mean, for Kiss, I mean, these guys do these every time they do a show. They do one of these meet and greets with the acoustic set, but for the people that are there, it's a once in a lifetime type thing, or maybe once every 5 years or something. If Kiss tours, I do that, but Kiss still does these every night, so that the fact that they still make it unique and personable to those fans is really a kudos to them, because they've been doing these acoustics for so long and these meet and greets for so long that I'm sure it's just part of their routine, and it's just they can go through it with their eyes closed if they wanted to. But the fact that they came out, fist bump and kind of make it personable, that's really cool.
Yeah, and I hadn't done one while they've been doing these acoustics, and Paul said straight up, we don't know how many songs we're going to do. We don't know what we're going to do. And I'm sure they've discussed a bit backstage, what they're in the mood for. How is everyone? Simple as that. Yeah. How is everyone on the day, on that moment as they're walking back? Is someone, let's cut this one short? Is someone,
Yeah, how's your voice? Things like that.
Yeah, what do we have to say? So they haven't performed. Gene's obviously performed recently, but, who knows, the rest of the guys, maybe just rehearsals. So they come in, they do a 6-song set. I have already shared the video of Coming Home, the first song. I can't remember if I had all the intro. What I will do for this episode, everyone, is I will plug in the full video, them walking in, and everything that I did shoot for this show. Coming Home. 22 years since they did that Unplugged, and what an opener it was then, and standing in front of them, what an opener it is now. But it was brutal. Right off the bat, the mix, the balance of the instruments was all messed up. It was fucking horrible. It was absolutely brutal to listen to. It was like having tin cans on your ears and headphones on top of it. It was just an assault, but it was a wonderful one. If you're going to be tortured, get tortured by Kiss. I mean, it's fuck. You're standing 3 feet away from Gene Simmons and you're hearing every single note he's playing on the bass, and that's about all you're hearing.
Sounds like whoever did the mix for that did the mix at the Gene show I went to in St. Louis a few weeks ago. That was so bad when they first came out. So.
It's music. It's live music.
Sure.
Shit happens. I accept that. And you go into one of these things, you don't know what you're going to get. You may have the sound man had hemorrhoids that were bugging him that day, and everything's off the dials. Simple as that. They sound checked.
No.
When we were standing out front, the crew played a bit of Coming Home themselves. So what they heard was obviously. Maybe they didn't have the things in their ears and they were just going off the monitors. Who knows? It doesn't matter. Complete irrelevancy at the end of the day. But, yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't matter.
No. It's still Kiss, and you're still seeing them that close, and they're playing acoustically.
So why don't I punch in at this point? Let's play Coming Home. Yeah, Paul. Tommy, how you doing?
Good. Hi. How are you? What's up, Tommy?
Hey, what's going on? Hi, guys.
Hey, how are you? Ready to have some fun?
Hey, Eric.
Yeah.
Hey, Jane.
You know, in case you didn't know, we have the military here today. And in case you didn't know, our guest from the military today plays me in a Kiss tribute band. Marine. How are you? How many of you people have been to our meet and greets before? Who's been to our meet and greets?
Nice.
You've been to it? Was it good? Okay. Who else has been to our meet and greets? Okay. Now, how many of you people remember Kiss Unplugged?
Oh, yeah.
You know how many years ago that was? What was that?
21.
A few.
22.
22 years ago. And I hadn't changed. You need glasses. Ready? What was the first song Kiss Unplugged?
Coming home.
1, 2, 3, 4. It's been a long time since I've been sleeping with you. I'm coming home again. Okay, can I tell you a little secret? Yeah! We're not really playing. I'm sure you've seen other people.
Okay. Hope you enjoyed that. Okay, continue.
Perfect. So, coming home, into Christine 16. Gene's been playing this recently on his couple solo shows that he's done. How was that?
I love Christine 16, so I was actually happier to hear it in the acoustic because I knew then we weren't going to get it in the electric show. So it was just, it was a train wreck. And one thing you noticed during coming home is Eric's really not happy. Gene's not happy. Eric couldn't hear a thing. And he told me that afterwards, and I think you could probably hear him shouting at some point. And Gene's pointing to his amp. He's not happy. And they adjusted the amp and made it face me even more directly, which just made the recording was just a red brick at that point. In Christine 16, they stop in the middle of the song. They just fucking kill it. And let me just play some of that for you right now.
Bring all the vocals down.
Boy, it sounds like shit up here.
And it's not us. It's Christine. Hey.
Whoa!
Turn this down just a little bit. I can't hear him in my ears. You gotta turn the guitar up a little bit. I need to hear Tommy's guitar in my ears. Don't turn him up there.
Check one. This is just on the verge of feeding back.
Sounds like this mic is. Hey, how's this too loud? It's too loud in my monitor. This mic. Turn it down a little. And then turn the guitar up just a little bit. You give Eric some guitar too. Yeah, a little, because I can't hear it at all. Lower down these.
So, how did you enjoy working for us?
Give me a little 1, 2, 1, 2. That's better. Alright. Hi, Beyonce.
So we didn't finish Christine 16.
It's her birthday today! It's her birthday today!
I got a present for you.
How old? 33. I have shoes older than you. I can't have it.
Oh no!
Can't live without her.
Okay, so that's that. I mean, that's a little bit long-winded to make you sit through, but they tried their best to adapt, and as you can hear from Paul, kept good humor, and that's important.
Yeah, at the same time, so they were frustrated, but they're still having fun with it at the same time. You can hear that come through.
Yep.
So, did they? They go in the Hard Luck Woman next. Do they act like they're taking requests from fans? Do they pretty much have it figured out what they're doing? What's the story?
They're asking what you want to hear, and they know what they're playing next.
But they're not paying attention to it.
No, they're just letting you. There's a couple times. I went back to the recording, and I'm like, I hear me. I did ask for "Bang Bang You."
Very good.
I did ask for "Life in the Woods" and "Forever," and
you were ignored on all three.
I was totally ignored. There were some good requests from this crowd, and I don't know what it's like at other ones, but there was "Turn on the Night" thrown out there, and I thought that was awesomely impossible on acoustic. But I thought it was a really good one, something different. So again, it was. You knew they weren't going to listen. They knew what they were going to do. And Hard Luck Woman was... I love the song. Always have. I love Paul singing it. I wish there was a studio version of him from 76. And that's no diss to Peter. I love Peter's version. But I would just love to hear 1976 Paul singing that song, even though we've got, MTV Unplugged. But I was watching him on the microphone at that, especially during that song. And he's leaning up into it. He is... totally into his singing, and he was powerful, and it does not come across on the recordings. I go back, whether it's my phone that I was filming on, or my other alternative device, it does not do him justice for the live situation. And when I play it back and I hear it, I get a different visual than when I was watching him, his eyes closing, him working, and his face, and I just love Paul Stanley. God.
Who doesn't?
Yep.
No, that's a good example, because people always are quick to criticize, when they hear something on YouTube that was recorded off a phone, and it's hard to judge anyone what's recorded in a live experience off of small speaker on your cell phone versus being there. You know, when I'm at a KISS show, I'm not thinking about Paul's, oh, he doesn't sound good. I'm thinking about, gosh, this is freaking amazing when I'm there personally. So,
Yep. So,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, after Hard Luck Woman, they went straight into Do You Love Me? And you know, Paul's not shirking the vocals. You know, I'm gonna put it straight out there that we know that his voice is the elephant in the room, and I'm not going to be embarrassed to talk about it. He's not avoiding singing, which makes me proud of him. And Do You Love Me? You know, come on. He's coming home, Hard Luck Woman, Do You Love Me, and Got to Choose.
Yeah, he does. He sings 4 of the songs.
4 of the songs, and maybe that's a warm-up. But on every single one of those, he sounded absolutely fantastic to me. And that's not wearing my rose-tinted earbuds. You know,
you're not drinking purple Kool-Aid as you're in the stands, dude.
And I was stone cold sober, didn't drink. So, you know, I don't care if I'm hearing what I want to hear. I'm seeing him sing. You know, it's like Great Expectations. You know, you sit there watching him sing, and you see what his voice can do. You know, and he's doing it for you. And you know, he's not killing it in the bad sense. He's totally killing it as a performer. So, you know, I was thrilled with the set to that point. That you've got Do You Love Me, which, again, I'm like, okay, cool, we've got this song out of the way during the acoustic set. We're not getting that at...
Oh, sure, yeah, you're definitely thinking that as you go. That, all right, cool, well, I'm going to get something other than Do You Love Me in the electric set. For sure.
Yep. So before...
Go ahead.
Sorry, it's like 2 hosts today, so you have to forgive us. I'm not going to interview myself. Lonnie's in that unenviable role, but I did forget to play a clip of Hard Luck Woman, so let me just play a little bit of that. Okay, so, you know, again, it's
perfect setting for that song.
Yeah, all you really get to hear is Gene's bass, but you'll see the video in the show, and apologies to everyone who's listening just to an audio version of this. There's no way for us to deal with that. Shut your eyes. But you'll see what I'm talking about with my perspective of watching Paul. You know, it really shows it in that clip of what he looks like when he's singing and his body language, which, you know, if any of you are a psychologist or have been around that and have looked into human body language, you know, it's a very positive thing to be looking at watching Paul at work.
I don't think a lot of our viewers are psychologists. I think they're mostly shut-ins and
they're on the other side of the table.
Inmates and
And by the way, that is Lonnie speaking right now, who just said that. That is not Mr. Gill, who is already on enough shit lists for this year. So thank you, Lonnie.
So, Do You Love Me to a Gene song that he's been doing quite a bit on his solo tour, Plaster Caster.
Again, totally thrilled that he did that. You know, if I could have asked for one Gene song that I was likely going to get, it would have been that. And I can't remember if they did that in Vegas or not. I don't know. It's too long ago. My brain's gone. But, you know, I was really happy. And he was just...
No, they didn't do Plaster Caster in Vegas. I wanted them to, and they didn't. They replaced it with Parasite.
So that might have been my first time seeing Plaster Caster.
I'm such a nerd.
Yeah, you know... I do the set list and all that shit and write books, and I can't remember fuck all. But whatever the case, if that was my first time seeing Plaster Caster, I was thrilled, especially being in front of Gene. And I'm sorry, Gene.
Oh, yeah. When I saw him do it a couple weeks ago, I was absolutely thrilled when they did it.
Yeah, again, that's a rare cut. That made me happy.
Oh,
yeah. You know, I'm walking out of the meet and greet. It hasn't been a vanilla one. You know, now that they've done Plaster Caster, something unusual, and to be standing right in front of Gene Simmons, and, you know, I was about to say it a second ago, I'm sorry, Gene, that I stood right in front of you rather than someone a little bit more attractive and female. I do deeply apologize for doing that to you, but...
he's looking out. Julian Gill is not what he's looking for. He first looks out.
that is not motivation for the performance, so...
So then they go into Got to Choose. How did that sound with Paul? Because that's a song they used to do back in like '04 when they kind of stabilized the lineup. They used to do that song quite a bit. And then they did it like in '04 live. They did it in some of those shows that they were doing in '06, '07 when they weren't really touring a whole lot. And then in '08 when they came back with the Alive 35, they were still doing it quite a bit when they were playing all of Alive, or at least 95% of Alive. And they've really we haven't heard it in a long time, actually. So how did that sound with Paul singing?
It sounded incredible. Again, his voice was in the right place at this time for doing that song. And he invested himself 110% into it, and he killed it. He totally killed it. And again, I can't remember how many times I may have heard it or not. Simple as that. I just thoroughly enjoyed hearing it again. And again, it's one of the songs off the original Unplugged and from '95 that is incredible acoustically. And maybe probably came from the acoustic in the first place.
Mm-hmm. It sounds so good acoustically that you would think it must have been written on an acoustic guitar, because it sounds so great when it's done acoustically.
It lets them be a great acoustic band for these performances, doing that song in particular. It's, it sounds way better than on the album to me, because you're not hindered by that kind of sludgy production that does give it its character, but it works so much better in a crisper performance. Oh
no, my go-to version of Got to Choose is the one off of MTV Unplugged. There's no question about it, because it sounds so freaking good. So to hear that in acoustic setting was probably really, really, that was almost as big of a treat probably as Plaster Caster, I would think.
Oh, absolutely. You got it right there.
So they finish it off with Beth.
Yeah,
which is probably, for guys like me and you, it's probably ending it on a downer, but for other people, I'm sure it's great for them to hear that.
I don't mind it. Eric Carr sang it. So in terms of having other people sing Peter's song, I don't like other people singing Peter's song. I'm looking forward to June when Peter sings Peter's song. I don't dislike Eric for singing it, because it's part of the Kiss catalog and he's got a voice that does it justice. And he's already wearing the makeup and the costume anyway. So, it's really somewhat of a moot point. When he does it, Paul Stanley introduced it, and says, something to the effect of that it's, one of the best versions, does the best job on it, so it is what it is. Let me play a little clip of that. Okay, so again, that's all bass for anyone.
It's a lot of Gene
listening to that, but you get to see the cool cat Eric, drumming with one hand, holding a mic with the other, singing, so talented guy. And by the way, what is it? At the 25th anniversary, 2 days ago, 23rd of April, of Eric's first ever show with Kiss, which was in San Francisco. So
that's a great article with Bruce.
Yep. Congratulations, Eric, and thank you for all you've done to the band. If someone tells you that I said something nice about you today, well, you have been appreciated, even if I'm not a giant fan of you doing Beth.
So what time does this end approximately? Whoa, you're not done yet.
No.
Now they're done performing, and you're going to get your autographs. So how does that go?
That went less smoothly than Ace Frehley's. And that's saying a lot.
That's saying something.
Yeah, it's Paul wraps it up and says, now we've done the whatever, let's get to the greet. Now we've done the meet, let's get to the greet. And I think one of the handlers comes out, okay, everyone up against the wall. And it's like Pink Floyd, get up against the wall.
Sounds like my 7th grade gym class.
Yeah. So everyone basically walks back to the wall and lines up, and you're kind of like, well, which end are they going to start? There's a little bit of the pigeons in the yard going on. And I'm kind of in the middle. I'm like vacillating. Do I want to go that way? Do I want to go that? Because I want to get my shit signed, get out, and go on my dinner, and get ready for the show. So you're lined up, and this is my one major criticism. I'm not bothered by the sound because that happens, and they worked around it. They were professionals. They saw it through, did their best, kept good humor. My criticism of this whole meet and greet thing. There wasn't a fucking table in the room for them to sign. So they walk down the line, and, some people had some difficult stuff. The guy next to me had a garbage can that he was able to kind of turn into a table for his stuff. And that was the only garbage can. And I probably should have asked, hey, yeah, you mind if I put my stuff on?
Right, borrow your garbage can?
Yeah, or can I borrow your shit on top of the garbage can so I've got a table?
Sure.
So... who came down first? I think it was Tommy was the first, and really nice. I brought what did I bring?
You got something for Alex, didn't you?
Yeah, I got Kissology 3 signed by Eric and Tommy for Alex. I got Sonic Boom signed by all four of them for me.
No, cool.
Tommy did a nice signature. Just small talk exchange. Eric comes along, small talk. He came down with Gene. Actually, those two were still a pair. So they've obviously got something going on. Paul came down. Paul was absolutely awesome. He was, really interacting with the fans, doing selfies, talking. And I asked him, hey, can you sign my 73 poster reprint, and I put it up against the wall for him, and he leaned in and he said, now make sure you let the ink dry before you roll it up. Really
That's
gracious,
cool.
Considerate. Paul Stanley, I didn't have a lot to say to these guys. I just said, something to the effect of, thank you, Paul, for still being out there doing it. He just smiled and moved on to the next person. There wasn't any reason to have any conversation. And yes, I was wearing that same T-shirt at this event.
I was going to get to that in a little bit.
Yeah, but yes, I was. Gene comes along, and I'm like, hey, Gene, can I put this up? And he's like, no. Yeah, and just signing it with me holding it in the air. And you know what? He did a pretty good job, so I've got it.
It's a little bit of a different autograph. I saw it yesterday. Yeah.
Yep. So that's my baby now. That is not going up on eBay. That's going up on my wall. So it was over in a flash. There's not really much to say. They were interacting more with some people, less with others, but it was all down to the circumstances. I wasn't being particularly chatty to them or trying to, hey, can I get a selfie with you? I'm not that sort of cat. Gene, the only thing I had to say to him was thank you so much for finally doing a solo tour. Make sure you come to San Francisco. And yesterday, a show in Riverside was announced. Going on sale on Friday for August the 5th, and I am gonna try and get tickets for that. And
How far away is that from you?
That's a fucking LA.
Is it? No.
That's another one. So maybe Ken will keep me company on the drive.
Maybe have another road trip with Ken.
Do a road trip and go back to that barbecue joint again, because how freaking awesome. He just Gene, and he just goes. That was his response, a smug, yes, thank you for acknowledging my greatness.
Yes, I am great. Please continue.
Yes, I am great, and no, you're not worthy. Yeah. So that was it. And then I rolled my shit up and, went and stole a pick off Paul's guitar and got out. I'd gotten an Eric pick during the meet and greet. It kind of fell on the floor, and I stomped on it before someone's fingers could get there. And then one of the people I know who was next to me, I was like, hey, he was grabbing Gene picks off Gene's mic stand afterwards. I'm like, hey, you've got long arms. Can you grab me one? And he kindly did. So
very good.
Didn't get a Tommy pick. So my life is not complete.
At the Gene show I went to, Gene didn't throw one pick all night.
Oh, these guys, Eric had a jar full of them, and he was just basically chucking them. Paul was flicking them all over the place. Tommy was flicking a few as well. And Gene had both his Herco gray ones and his, I'll just hold it up and then to the camera. You got a little bit of a Kiss World kind of pick. So, it's neat. So, once it's over, they're mingling. There are some local personalities. They look like, well, okay, I won't describe them. But, that they were mingling with at the end. And I was just like, okay, I got to go get my tickets. I got to go check in. I'm out of there. Rolled my shit up, got out, went to will call, got my tickets. Didn't mean anything where they were. Got checked in, had my dinner at Charlie Palmer's, and was back there for 7.
Okay. So you had enough. So you still had enough time to get done what you needed to do.
Yeah, totally. Got it was probably only an hour left. I think it was about 4:45 by the time everything was over, so it was just under an hour. The meet and greet kind of took place. I think my recording's 53 minutes. So
yeah,
that's how long it had taken from getting in front of Gene's amp to turning the recorder off after the performance, and then it was probably another half hour on top of that to get signed.
And 2 autographs per guy, right?
Yeah, two. I didn't pay attention to how stringent they were being on that. I think most people were quite respectful, thankfully. That no one had come in with a wheelbarrow full of Spencer's crap to have signed. And there was a good mix of stuff people were getting signed. I mean, someone had some of their costume parts from the 70s, leather belts, and some really cool stuff like that. The guy next to me had a great 77 poster print of Paul from the Alive 2 tour. So there's some cool shit and some photos that people had taken.
That's cool. I'm always interested in what people are getting signed whenever I go to anything. I'm always interested in, like, what other people are having. I'm always, oh, that's really cool, or sometimes it's like stuff like that, like, oh wow, that's really cool. Then other people, I'm like, why are you bringing that? That's really stupid.
Yeah, well, I saw
but teach their own.
I saw a lot of copies of Destroyer, a lot of copies of the first album. But the way I geared my stuff is, if you can only get 2 signatures per guy, I don't want to disrespect Tommy and Eric and only get Classic Era signed, and I'm certainly not going to have them sign anything Classic Era that they didn't play on.
Right.
People are in different spaces about what they want. For a lot of people, a Kiss record is a Kiss record, and getting it signed by Kiss is perfectly fine. I'm not so inclined to have a Tommy Thayer signature on Destroyer, and that's not any dig at Tommy, and that's why I brought Sonic Boom, so that I could have him sign something without saying, don't you dare touch my 73 poster reprint. I don't want to put someone in that situation or disrespect him in any way, but I guess
and to each their own. If somebody wants to get that signed, if it means something to them, so be it.
I considered. I mean, I'd hope they'd have a table so that you could put your shit down and they could sign everything nicely. But you know what? Even Gene kind of doing his squiggly, it looks like a Gene signature. And it
still looks like a Gene signature.
Yeah, and I've got the story to go with it, and it's not for sale. So simple as that. He did a good job.
Yeah, it means something to you. That's what the important thing is.
Yep, absolutely.
So you have your dinner, you get your tickets. Do you go to your seat first, or do you wait around to do your meet and greet with the band?
Once we get back, it was a madhouse. So we had to be back at 7. I took off, got checked in, had my dinner, came back at 7, and the line was already massive, as was the admission line. And there were people who had lined up at 1:45 when I got there for the meet and greet, who were still in line to get in. So they must have been going in the pit. So the VIPs all got lined up in a separate line and get sent the wrong place, and one of the crew come and get anyone with a wristband, get your asses over here now. The band's waiting. So we're taken backstage, is where they were doing the photo session, and we're lining up, and we're probably waiting 20-25 minutes, maybe even a bit more than that, while a private photo session's going on in the back. You see Tommy hanging out, talking to some of those same personalities that he had been before, and then Paul's back there, and we're just waiting in line. It's stuffy back there on the it's a big ass backstage as well. But finally they start processing us, and once they do, I want to give a shout out to Keith LaRue for doing the Facebook Live of the photo session, because that was absolutely hilarious to get pinged by people who saw me getting signed, getting my my photo taken with the band and everything that goes with that. But, the line was moving at a fast clip. It was, you go in there, you're told by an organizer, this is what you're going to do, and you basically go stand in front, picture out. All that was missing is like one of the cartoonish big boots to push you out.
Like a guy with a cane.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. But you know what? Even though it was rapid and it was assembly line and all that, it was still respectful. There were groups of people who, were going through getting individuals and getting maybe 2 of them together, 6 of them with the band, and they were more than willing to, work with certain circumstances like that for those people to make sure. I had 2 sisters who were directly in front of me, and they both had their pictures taken. Then they're like, "Oh, wait, don't forget to get one together," and they got it together. And then I'm in, and I stand, and the band's just right behind me getting organized. And all of a sudden, out of the side of my eye, Gene Simmons kind of bat gargoyle movements, and you see it on the video.
It's great.
Which you'll have to, and it was also captured on the photo that he just came around the side of me to check out my T-shirt. And, I think Keith posted later, it was a bootleg T-shirt check, that they don't want to be taking pictures with certain T-shirts.
Sure.
Which is fair enough. And you know what? You can't see it. You maybe see it in the Facebook Live, that I actually had a yellow T-shirt on tucked into my belt in case they had a problem with that T-shirt. I totally did not think they would have a problem, but if they said, "Hey, we don't want to do that T-shirt," I would have said, "Hey, send the next guy and I'll just rip this one off and put on the yellow," so that it wouldn't have been a big deal. It also wouldn't have been a big deal if they had a problem with it if I get my meet and greet photo and there's just a black T-shirt that they'd edited it out. I wouldn't have been offended. I would have understood that business is business. Sure. But I think they also need to communicate that in the email sent to people in meet and greets, that certain T-shirts should not be worn, if they do have a rule. But Gene just came around, he looked, he checked at it. I just kind of grinned stupidly. I love the photo.
Yeah, you kind of look at him like, it's me.
and then over the other shoulder, Paul's peering down, and I'm like,
what's going to happen here?
Gene, they say something. I don't even know what it was. I'd have to listen back to the recording. I just kind of make myself stand straight. They take the picture, and I'm out.
That's it. All right, see ya.
One of the best things about that, and there's the one without Gene giving me the Inquisition, is Tommy is just so fucking
he's oblivious to what's going on.
He's in space. He's just like, he just needs to have his thumb up. It's awesome. And Eric's so cute with his new little coat. Isn't that adorable?
That's pretty cool.
So they change things up, and out we go. I just followed the 2 sisters, and they actually turned out to be sitting right next to me. So we go out, we're directed back to the stage, everyone's coming in and getting their seats, and we're sent over to the orchestra. And it turns out I'm sitting right next to those 2 gals. They're really nice, really friendly, really cool. Great audience people to be with them, they were. But we get to our seats, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? Orchestra left, all the way over to the side. In front of
way
you,
over to the side.
Yeah. In front of us. So if you're sitting looking at the stage, is probably a 20-foot curtain riser to cut down the width of the stage, which Kiss isn't going to use all whatever 100. I was trying to find the dimensions for the theater, but nothing's publicly available. So it's 15, 20 feet maybe that they mounted the Videotrons on to either side. So we're not in front of the stage. We're second row, but there's also 25 feet of pit in front of you, which is standing room. At which point I would have said, put me in the fucking pit, because then I can walk and elbow my way over and be in front of the band. So no band member was physically capable of walking in front of us or coming over. So goddamn awful seats. As part of a $1,250 package, I gotta say, here I go with that phrase again. I was going to try not to say today. I really think they need to do a better job of finding out their venue configuration before they get the allocation of tickets that are going to be used for the meet and greet. Not for the VIP package. I think it's really unfair to people who are paying that amount of money, and that's also for the other lesser VIP where you're in the first 8 rows or whatever, for like $400 or $500 without the meet and greet component. That it is unfair to be pedantic and correct and say that you're in the second row when there's a 25-foot orchestra pit and you're all the way over to the side in what in the 1970s would have been called an obstructed view seat. Sold for peanuts and only sold on the understanding that you are not going to be able to see the band. You are all the way over to the side. So I was pissed. And then, fortunately, my phone went off and it was someone, hey, look at you're on Facebook Live. There's Julian with an Odyssey t-shirt. So thank you. You distracted me from my rage.
Cheered you up a little bit.
And then because I recognized people getting their pictures, then I elbowed the girls next to me, and we all watched ourselves go through, and they thought it was cool. I thought it was cool. We all thought Keith was awesome. So, that took my mind off it. But once I realized where I was, it's like, okay, well, them's the fucking breaks. Again, this is not the first time I've bought a package from Kiss Online and had shit seats. And that's what pisses me off. First time, shame on me. Second time, shame on you. So, very disappointed. And I don't know whether any due diligence on my part, because you don't find out your seats until you get to will call.
Day of.
Yeah. So it's kind of a gotcha that no one in their right minds would pay top dollar for those seats. No one. So.
That's disappointing. And I'm with you. For that amount of money, and your overall experience was very good. I mean, you did nothing but praise them about the meet and greet, about the way they treated the acoustic performance.
Yep.
It was all handled very professionally. Everything went well. And you get to your seat, you're on the super high. You got your signatures. Okay, here I go. My tickets say orchestra left, row 2. Okay, well, that sounds good. Just looking at the ticket itself, I'm sure that sounds good. I'll be on Gene's side, but okay. Maybe just off left to the center or something like that. But no, you're exactly right. That's what they would call an obstructive view, where they'd put you where there would be a pole in front of you type of seat back in the day. So that's very disappointing.
Does it ruin the whole experience? No, it certainly detracts from it, because there were enough good other things that go on, and we haven't even talked about the electric set yet.
No, we haven't gotten to the show yet.
Yeah, so it was a downer, and I was like, God damn it, burned again. But then rock and roll comes over the speaker. There was quite a bit of delays in this, and it just got me. It didn't bother me. I'm not complaining about delays. That's just part of show business. But I was like, things are not firing on all cylinders tonight. It's the first show in a while. They've only been doing these onesie twosies. No proper touring. That's going to happen next week. So it felt like things were. Not the wheels weren't all greased and all that. So, without using up any more metaphors.
And at the same time, that's I'm sure what these two shows are for. Is just to try to loosen the gears a little bit before they head out to York, just to have a couple of warm up shows before they.
Yeah, I mean,
before they tour.
I mean, shit, they're about to go to Europe. They need a little bit of spending money in their pockets.
Sure. I mean, well. You got to pay that mortgage payment before you leave, too. So.
Yeah, make sure those bills are paid. So, whatever the circumstances of why they're doing these shows is irrelevant. But, you get out there, you see the big Kiss backdrop.
You're ready to go.
The big, what are they? I think they must have been 20-foot video screens on either side. I missed the Kiss Army banners. Those should have been hanging down below.
Yeah,
those.
That's an important element to me. To me, that's very important that they're there. It really adds to the experience. There's no doubt. I love going there and to the venue and sitting and waiting in anticipation of the show. And those Kiss Army banners are on each side of it. It just adds to the whole Kiss experience, in my opinion.
Yep.
But teach their own. So the lights go out. You hear the hum of the bass, and they do the You Wanted the Best, You Got the Best, Hottest Band in the World, Kiss, and they open with Deuce, which is, in my opinion, what they should open with every night.
Yes.
And you kind of forget about where your seats are because you're at a freaking Kiss show.
Yeah, without a doubt.
You know what I mean?
You nailed it. You forget about everything. You forget about your problems. You forget about the world. You forget about what's going on. You just see Gene Simmons playing your all-time favorite song, and the band. You're kind of processing what the stage looks like, because this isn't the stage they're taking to Europe. That's already there. It's sparse. It's there's not much to actually look at. It's one big video screen. It's not even that big, actually. It's not big like a gymnasium. Behind them, Eric's up on his drum riser. It's coming down from from its fully erect position. Tommy's over stage right, Paul in the middle, Gene stage left, and it's basically pipe work. Yeah, there's no wall of amps. There's just a stage lifter, some pipe work, scaffolding.
Yeah, just a very, very bland, one of the most bland Kiss stages that you'll ever see. But you're right. The stage that they're using in Europe's already there. This is something they were just able to put together for these two warm-ups.
Yeah,
shows.
shit. I wasn't expecting to see Leon the Sphinx or Lady
No,
Liberty.
or even the Spider or anything like that.
Nothing. No, I'm glad we didn't see the Spider, because it probably would have fallen on someone with all the technical issues that they had that night. So they rock through it, and I'm going to play, it's been up on YouTube getting a shitload of hits, but I'll punch that back in right now. Deuce in the beginning of the show. Hope you enjoyed that.
So Deuce, and then straight into Love Gun and Shout It Out Loud. I love those 3 songs in a row. 3 songs that they've used to open shows. Never mind. They've never opened a show with Shout It Out Loud. But 3 really. What?
Yeah.
I'm checking. Yeah, that's possible. But Deuce, Love Gun, Shout It Out Loud. That's 3 punches in a row in your face. You're at a Kiss show and it's about as good as it gets starting things out, in my opinion.
Oh, totally. I mean, Love Gun, it has been used to open, as you said, but Deuce and Love Gun was a 1-2 punch, a declaration of intention that we have come to kick your ass. I want to play a bit of Love Gun.
Okay.
Okay, so
Deuce and Love Gun.
Yeah, and you know,
great 1-2 punch, as you said.
Yeah, and once I heard Paul, singing that, you hear a bit of his struggles, but even on that recording, it's more than okay how he sounds to me. And when I was in there with all the audience noise, I knew there were parts, and you hear where Eric's really coming in during the chorus, and you see them working the issue, and that's really kind of neat. And I thought, I was like, Paul, okay,
they're aware of it,
yeah, but I'm like, Paul, I can work with this. I'm not feeling offended that you're singing.
Yeah. It's not making you cringe as it's going on.
No, it's not. It's making me. I've said it, when we're talking about the meet and greet component. It made me proud that they're working hard to come around the challenge and still give the best show that they can. So the bass was so fucking loud. Oh my god. It'll come up in a little bit when we get to another song. But again, it wasn't a good sounding show. The vocals were low. The music was high, and it was a clusterfuck
all over the place. Huh?
Yep.
So then in the Shout It Out Loud, how was that? Pretty good? It shouted out loud.
I hate the song. I never have liked it. It's just too fucking happy for me. Sorry.
Well, you really don't like the next song. It's Hide Your Heart, and that's pretty happy too.
No.
But Hide Your Heart, though. But they go in the Hide Your Heart, though. You have to be pretty excited, though. I know I would be when they go in the Hide Your Heart, because it's. They did it in 14 when they toured with Def Leppard, but it's still different in my opinion.
It's still once they went into Hide Your Heart, I'm like, okay, here we've gone from first album to Love Gun to Destroyer to Hot in the Shade. I'm like,
that's a great mix.
That's 4 songs, 4 albums. Mm-hmm. That's pretty varied. And I was like, okay, what the hell is the rest of the evening going to be if we're already doing this? Because, I was checking the last set that they'd done, and I can't remember if I was happy at that point or whatever, but I knew from enjoying the music that I was.
That's pretty early in the set to mix things up to that extreme, too. Usually they don't throw in something like Hide Your Heart or something a little off their norm until at least midway through the set. So 4th song in, they're playing Hide Your Heart. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I was thrilled, and, kudos to them for keeping that in the set.
Mm-hmm. So then Hide Your Heart, I Love It Loud. You knew it was coming.
You knew it was coming. I wasn't expecting it this early. And again, we got technical issues. Let me just play you a clip of Gene getting pissed off. So he wanted his spotlight, you asshole. Dig it! Oh, poor Gene.
Oh, to be Gene Simmons.
Oh, to be Gene Simmons, indeed. And again, I Love It Loud. How many times have we heard it? And I just loved it. So there you go.
That's good.
Yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it. I wasn't like, oh, this again. I don't think I felt that on any song. So
You didn't feel the need for a bathroom break on any of them?
no.
That's good. Well, that's the way it should be. So that's great.
Yeah, there were going to be no bathroom breaks during this show. I mean, that's why I wasn't drinking beer. So I was staying put.
It's good. So I Love It Loud. And then, okay, we're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 songs in, 5 different albums still.
Yep.
We go to the 6th song, 6th different album. And you probably had to have been really shocked when they played Crazy, Crazy Nights.
Yes and no. With going to Europe.
No, I get it. They're playing 4 shows in England. And I would get why they would want to play it, but
yeah,
still pretty cool.
They're not actually playing 4 shows in England. They're playing 4 shows in the United Kingdom. But sorry to be pedantic. Having moved here from Glasgow.
Sorry.
A little bit of a big deal. But Crazy Nights. And as much as I hate the song, I was thrilled. Again, it's not a song that I get to hear very often performed by the band. And it's another one that they've really worked hard on to play. So here's a bit of video from Crazy Nights. So there's a couple things with that. I often bag on Tommy and say that he can't do Bruce Kulick solos properly, or Vinnie Vincent solos properly. And I liked what he did with Crazy Nights and that solo. That's why, that's the part that I've kept of that video. I thought he did a very good job interpreting it and keeping it honest to the original, but with a little bit of the classic feel that he's better at with, doing the Frelly type guitar work. Also in that, there's a lot more Gene on the vocals, and Eric in the chorus, as you could hear there. So that was a good example of how they're working, again, around Paul's limitations. And Paul, I thought, did a very good job. Again, listening to this stuff now, rather than being in the room, is completely different sonic beast than it was, especially without earplugs, which I never go to concerts without them, but I'd left them in my jacket. So completely different. I enjoyed it, actually, as much as I cringe sometimes at that song.
That's all you can ask for.
Yeah.
So into Firehouse.
Yeah.
They're going to do not a surprise, not a shocker. So
not a shocker at all, but this is where it really became apparent. And when I spoke to Ken Mills of Podcast the other day, I had to drop off a copy of a book for him and did a quick episode for Podcast about Reno, saving a lot of this stuff for our own show. But I had said something to the effect then that Paul was having some issue, and I thought maybe it was him, physically not being able to sing. What it seems it was more likely about was his microphone. He was having major problems with his mic, and so Gene jumped in and started singing Firehouse, which I thought was really cool. Let me just play a quick clip of that. Gene tries to help Paul Stanley sing. Okay, so I thought that was really,
That's really cool.
Go team. Jumping in and helping Paul. Whatever reason he was struggling, whether it was, singing or whether it was technical, he was there for his brother. I mean, keep the show going at all costs, even if you butcher the lyrics, even if you don't know where the break is and you keep singing and stuff, whatever. He was there. He kept it together. He jumped in.
Yeah.
So another really cool part of Firehouse, and this is some video for all of you not listening, just watching, is from our position all the way over, getting to see Gene blow fire and have Tommy and Paul watching Gene blow fire. So see if I can string that into a sentence. Me watching Tommy and Paul watching Gene blowing fire at the end of Firehouse. Here's a little bit of video of that. So you must have really enjoyed watching that, Lonnie. Now you're like, oh, I'm going to go watch this freaking show to see. Thanks a lot, Julian.
Now I got to go back and watch the show.
Yeah, man, I got to listen to you again? Damn.
Once a week's enough. So, Firehouse, I mean, it's always cool, though. It's one of the highlights. It's still, even many times if I've seen Kiss, it's still one of the highlights of the show every time you see it. It's still a fun part when they breathe the fire. So, if Crazy Nights didn't excite you, the next song had to have excited you when they broke into Flaming Youth.
Oh my goodness me.
Had to go change your pants.
No, I was just hoping it was going to stay in the set, and Paul gave it a nice intro. He says, this next song's off,
Rock and Roll Over.
No. He got it right, and then he proceeded to say we could play God of Thunder, we could play Detroit Rock City, but we're going to play Flaming Youth, and he introduced it as a gem. He acknowledged it for what it was. Again, good work on the backing vocals on the song. I like it. I'm glad it's still there. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It makes me smile thinking of it. Listening to the show, I've listened to the show 5 times today. Just keeping it in my head, keeping it fresh, and I've smiled every time. I think I've had a shit-eating grin on my face since Friday. It's just been the past few days. They're a blur, they're gone, but a Kiss show made me happy because of things like Crazy Nights being in the set or Flaming Youth. I mean, it's the little things.
Sure. So that's obviously a treat right in the middle of the set to hear Flaming Youth. That's got to be fantastic.
Yep.
So Flaming Youth and the Cold Gin.
Cold Gin, good standard. No
good
complaints.
Standard, meat and potatoes type Kiss song.
Everyone's recognizing it. It's not out of place. It's not, it's not ooh. It's yay.
Yeah, Cold Gin. to be expected. Great song though. Into War Machine, and he does the Blood Before War Machine.
I really can't freaking remember. I think he did. Yeah, he must have, because there you go. Shows how much I was paying attention.
You only listen to the show 5 times a day.
Well, listening, you don't really.
I know.
You don't really hear the blood drops.
War Machine really become a standard since 2012. They started playing it. I mean, they played it on 04, and then they brought it back in 12 when they toured with Motley, and it's really kind of stayed in the set list ever since.
Yeah, it's one that doesn't do a whole lot for me, and I think that was one where I felt the graphics behind them, they felt recycled from previous tours where they always had the little mini robots, and
they've been using that since 2012 too.
Yeah, so hopefully they've got some new effects for for Europe if they're going to do that in the set, but whatever. A decent song.
Yeah.
Just standard fodder.
So this one was a surprise, though, was they brought Say Yeah back into the set list.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you right now, my reaction to Say Yeah can only be illustrated by playing this sample.
Here's something came off an album called Sonic Boom.
Oh, yeah.
This song, we haven't played this in a while, so you want to help us with this?
What are you thinking at that point? What are you thinking they're going to play?
I didn't know or care. I'm just like, they're playing something off Sonic Boom. I think Modern Day Delilah is probably the first thing that popped into my head. But, I mean, ooh, yeah. Just hearing myself.
So excited.
And, when you're taping the show, you're like lip syncing because you don't want to be singing along and
It's going to be
ruining
your voice over that.
Yeah, so that's one of the few times you can actually hear me on the show, and into the oh man, I was smiling. My reaction. That's an honest reaction. I can't fake
That's
it.
great.
I wanted to edit it out of the show, but I'm
It is. Do it.
I'm going to embrace the dorkiness of my reaction just for what it was, an honest reaction to being excited at Paul telling me that he's going to, play that song. And it's only been 3 years since it was last done, but it's probably the last song I expected to be thrown into the set, something off Sonic Boom.
Still a surprise, though. I mean, a lot of surprises in the set, really. I mean, quite a few surprises. I mean, much as we complain about set lists, quite a few surprises in the set.
Yeah, and say it's unfortunate that Paul lost his mic in the middle of the song. I'll play you a clip in a second, but what they're doing is the higher parts that he can't do now is they're putting in pyro explosions. So what a great way to avoid than to mask it by having an explosion while he is doing
That's
it.
Cool.
Because it's a Band-Aid, it worked. I loved it. It was like an exclamation mark because he's going high and they're hitting it with an explosion. But here's a clip of the mic issue, and it just it fucked up the song. But
Can you sing with us? Can you sing with us? Can I hear my voice in my earphones? Thank you. It was nice having you work with us. Goes like this.
yeah, so it was nice having you work with us. Can you hear my voice in my earpiece? Poor Paul. I mean, talking about getting stomped on his toes, So that was tough, but
It happens. It's your first show you've done in a while, So from Say Yeah into Shock Me.
yeah. Same things I said about Beth, I say about Shock Me every time. That I also find it odd that Paul introduced the song completely and didn't say I'm going to turn the microphone over to Tommy Thayer and then Tommy chiming in, Shock Me, like Ace used to do. That he's doing the whole thing, gonna have Tommy wants to sing a song, he's going to sing Shock Me, and they go. It is what it is. It's the spaceman song, and I hate saying that in one sense, but Tommy does it respectfully, like Eric does Beth respectfully, as a homage to Ace Frehley.
Is it? Never mind.
Is it?
Is it homage or is it homage?
Homage.
Go ahead.
Potato, whatever.
So
I don't mind it as much now. I've kind of gotten over my butt hurt for him doing it. And, he did the rocket thing at the end and shot down 3 things from the... Yeah.
Right.
It was neat. The guitar soloing bit, and, he walked around the stage and commanded presence, and, he did his thing. He did fine, There you go. Yeah. Right, let's move on to the next song.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Lick It Up.
Ugh. Jesus.
Did they... Yeah. And I haven't heard all the audio clips that you put up. I'm sure they still did the Who little thing in the middle like they've been doing for the last
Jesus, stick a fork in my
decade.
eye. Yeah, I can't stand it. I'd rather
It's running. It was cool the first tour they did that.
16,000 times later, it's play the fucking Who song. just do a Who cover in there for me, please. Don't do the little...
play another song instead of wasting all that time, in my opinion. So.
Yeah, it goes on too long for me, but it bothers me less and less now. Now we get into it, and I'm going to play a little bit of Lick It Up. All right, so he kills that scream again.
No, it does sound good.
It sounded fantastic. He sounded good on Lick It Up as well. And I was just bashing that part of the song, and then I'm bopping my head. So typical Kiss fan. Says one thing, does another. Yeah, hypocrite. I'll probably have a different opinion tomorrow. So yeah, it's not as bad. And I love Paul's intro bit to this was, asking the crowd, how many girls like to get laid? How many girls like to, all that. Yeah, and then goes, I guess we got a really dirty audience here tonight. Yeah, so that was kind of funny cornball moment.
Typical Paul Stanley.
Yep.
So from Lick It Up into one of my favorite songs that Kiss does live. That for me, like. For you with Deuce, if they don't do Deuce, you're disappointed. For me, if they don't do Let Me Go Rock and Roll, I'm disappointed because that jam at the end is one of my favorite. It's one of the reasons why I love Kiss. So Let Me Go Rock and Roll, you had to be excited when they went in.
Absolutely, that's another one of the songs I absolutely adore hearing in concert, and will never complain that it's in the set. If it's not, or Deuce isn't, it's not often that Deuce is not, but. Let Me Go Rock and Roll is often not in the set, and to get both of those this night, I've lost track of, again, the number of different albums that material have been played off in this concert, but at this point I'm thought, why aren't we into encores yet?
Oh yeah, they're still going. It's still a lengthy set.
Versus recent shows that have seen the set list contract down to 15, especially with the longer bits, being done in Shock Me and Lick It Up in particular.
Lick It Up.
I was amazed. They're still going. I was looking at the timer on my recorder, and I'm like, holy shit, I'm glad this isn't a cassette.
Oh yeah, you're at Let Me Go Rock and Roll, and you're like, okay, well, they at least got one more song before the end of the set.
Yeah, Detroit and...
either Detroit Rock City, Rock and Roll Night, or Black Diamond is going to be the last song of the set. One of the three.
So,
we're still going at this point.
And I was totally amazed that we were still going.
Yeah. So, but they don't end it yet. They still don't end the set list after that. They go in the Psycho Circus, which is an odd place for Psycho Circus. Usually it's towards the beginning of the show. So then to play it that late was a little different, but again, a little bit different, a little bit of a surprise, and again, a song off of a different album. They're really touching as many eras of the band as they can, almost.
Yeah, the whole catalog is being represented here.
I really like that.
There's enough in this set for the dork in me. The Kiss geek who knows that Flaming Youth is a gem. That Crazy Nights hasn't been done that often. That Say Yeah was something special. The dork has been pleased. But for the diehard fan, and Paul asked the audience, how many of people here tonight this is their first Kiss concert? And a good chunk of that audience, that's probably a lot of the audience is now going to see them. It was their first Kiss show from their reaction. And I don't think they were just being polite. And, Paul's like, take it back. And he's like, well, April the 21st will be a day that you always remember. It's the time you first saw Kiss. And, how balanced this set is between rarities and, more obscure
different
stuff.
Albums representative, yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, here's a song from 1998. I'm like, okay, I know what's coming. I didn't think it was going to be a Pledge of Allegiance to the State of Rock and Roll. So let me just play 30 seconds of Psycho Circus, because I thought it was, again, another song that he did very well.
I've been waiting here to be your guide. So come, reveal the secrets that you keep inside. No one leaves until the night is done. You've gone too long. All of your has just begun.
So you can still hear Paul prominently in the chorus as well.
Yeah.
I mean, he's still there, but that's a more difficult part, I think, to sing, which is why I just played that little bit. And I thought he did very well. So it's not one of my favorite songs. I'd rather it be further up the set list. Maybe even start with it, introduce into Love Gun, and that's a 1, 2, 3 knockout.
Mm-hmm.
But still great to hear the variety.
Absolutely. I've said it numerous times that I really like how many different albums are represented. So, last song of the set, Black Diamond. Not a surprise, but a great song, and always, again, a standard at a Kiss show. The song you have to have at a Kiss show.
Yep, I'll never complain about hearing Black Diamond, and here's a sample of that.
Because if you know it, you gotta show it. Don't blow it. Here's your chance. We go out on the street for a living. Pictures already begun. You go. Can you do that? Out on the street for a living. Pictures already begun. One, two, three. Out on the streets for a living.
Okay, so, again, it's the softer vocal that he's doing extremely well. And where he might have had challenges with the hoo-hoo-hoo, get the audience to do it for you.
Yeah, interact with the audience.
Smart man.
That's what Vince Neil would always do too.
Well, with Vince Neil, you got to sing every other word anyway, or else you.
Well, that's true, but you know what I mean. Though Vince would opt out of the high parts and put the microphone to the ground when it came to the high parts.
Yeah.
He knew his limitations, and Paul knows his. So,
but it's also smart.
It is what it is.
It makes you part of the show, and that's what makes him such a great frontman. 1975 or 2017, he's Paul fucking Stanley, and he commands respect on the stage, and he makes you feel part of the show. He makes you feel like he's singing to you. So does Gene, but smart showmanship. So
Absolutely.
Respect.
So Black Diamond ends the set. Great way to end the set. At this point that they have at least 2 more songs in them. And they do just 2 more songs, but at the same time, they've already done so many songs that if I was you, I wouldn't be expecting a lengthy encore at this point because they had played for quite a while.
Yeah.
So they come, I wouldn't be expecting it. So they come back and they do the first song you expect them to do when they came back.
Well, they don't.
And that's Detroit Rock City.
Yeah, not quite.
Well, they do a little presentation first, don't they?
Yeah, 6 minutes worth. And I'm just thinking that this could be a song and a half, and no disrespect to all my American friends. I always have a little bit of a problem with the hoorah, hoorah, hoorah section, but honoring the veterans is an incredibly important part of what the band is about, and everyone was on their feet, showing respect to those veterans up on the stage and listening to Paul talk and hands on their hearts for the Pledge of Allegiance. So, the respect was given to those to whom it is owed. And, the mayor gave them the key. I always love the key presentations because he always says, I hope they don't change the locks or take it back, or something to that effect after.
Same shticks in 75.
Yeah. I love it, though. I mean,
it's still funny.
Yeah, it's still funny. And then a charity worker who works with homeless veterans in Reno, gave a brief speech as well, and then they were ready to, get back to the show. But, honoring, they had 2 vets who were working at the facility that night, bringing them on stage, and, it never hurts to remind people, in this day and age, and, do something a little bit more, regardless of whether Mr. Gill gets uncomfortable with these sorts of things. It's irrelevant. Their heart is in the right place. So.
No, and I have a lot of respect for what they do with that. So.
Yeah, and it wasn't them parroting on about what they do. The guy from the charity tells you what KISS has done for veterans and wounded warriors and the charities. So,
correct. It's not Gene and Paul patting themselves on the shoulder. Look what we do.
Getting someone else to do it for them. And, it also, the crowd, come on, the crowd around me was chanting USA, USA, USA. They responded to it as I was lip syncing. Of course, because I didn't want to ruin my recording.
You had your priorities.
I was standing.
Well, that's good. That's impressive. So, Detroit Rock City, to start the music part of the encore. You're expecting that at this point.
Yeah, you now know we're into the end, so here's, a bit of Detroit Rock City. Okay, so I think Paul's voice has held up incredibly well during this afternoon of music and evening of music. I mean, through the meet and greet into this, he's still chugging along very nicely, in my opinion. I mean, I'm sure there are detractors out there who are going to, dissect and criticize everything they can, but I have zero criticisms of him. To be this deep in and still sounding good, the music's good, the mix is better, so everything's coming together at the end. Strong finish.
Detroit Rock City.
Yep.
So, and of course they finish it up with the KISS standard Rock and Roll All Night, confetti, whole 9 yards, typical end to the KISS show. The bombastic, I shouldn't say typical end to a KISS show, the bombastic end to a KISS show, how it always ends. As much as you may be tired of the song, it's still exciting, in my opinion. When the only time I get excited for Rock and Roll Night is when I'm at a KISS show and they play it live. It's still fun. It's a KISS show, and it's the way they end the show. Yeah,
when it's raining confetti, and it's the last song, they're not coming back to do another one.
Right, you still can't help but smile.
Yep. And it was a hell of a confetti storm. So I won't play the video now. I'll punch it in afterwards, but just a little bit of the end of the show, and then we're done. We're out. One one last bit of multimedia I do want to play, and this happened way earlier in the show. I think it was second, third song, right before Shout It Out Loud, and Paul got a nice dig in at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and maybe that's become one of his new spiels.
You're looking at a band that's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Now, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame hates KISS. But they had to listen to you. So tonight we're going to be celebrating all things KISS, old stuff, some of the newer stuff, classic stuff. But I want to check on y'all, make sure you're with us. Hold on a second.
So, yeah, nice of Paul to, again, make you feel part of it all, that, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame hates KISS, and they had to let him in because we demanded it. So,
yeah, And the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame continues to show what a hypocrisy that it is by letting different members of Journey in, and just like they did with the Grateful Dead, they've let whoever they wanted, and only 4 members of Kiss are allowed to go in. So I can see where it still kind of gets Paul's goat when he sees stuff like that going on.
Yep.
So I can definitely see why it sticks with him.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't have a problem with that. What I liked about that comment, and I'll make sure I replace that with the better version. He said what they're going to be performing tonight. They're going to be performing older stuff, newer stuff, classic stuff. Yeah, no false advertising there. They did just that. So here we are, end of the show, 1 hour and 53-minute Kiss show in 2017. Yeah, Gene's not jumping around the stage. Gene is moving around the stage. He wasn't static. Paul moved around the stage. He certainly was not freaking static. He was on his back, wiggling his legs, sitting on the side of the stage, rolling around. 65 years old. If I could do any of that and not end up like a turtle or having a heart attack, he was active. Eric, active as hell, just working his ass off. Tommy, working his ass off. That's a band that gave everything to that show that night. And, I just walked out grinning inanely. Simple as that. I had forgotten about being annoyed about the seats. I hadn't thought about it from the first moments. The first notes were struck. I just walked out, and it wasn't that late, and I was just spent emotionally. I was like, I get back to my room. I want to leave early, the next day to get back to San Francisco. But what an amazing night it was. 18 songs, nearly 2 hours.
You can't ask for any more than that.
Cannot ask.
I didn't think we'd see a Kiss show with 18 songs again, honestly.
And there should have been 19. Because on the set list, right before...
I Was Made for Loving You.
I Was Made for Loving You was scratched. So, Thank God.
Tells you they're going to do it in Europe, and that's no surprise. They're probably going to do it in Europe.
Yep.
Along with Crazy Crazy Nights. That's, again, we mentioned it earlier in the show. That's why they did it, because I'm sure they're planning on it for Europe.
Maybe they could get Tommy to sing "Talk to Me" instead of "Shock Me." They both have me in the title.
That would be exciting. We've been hearing Tommy do. The first time Tommy did "Shock Me" was in 2008, and I'd love to hear Tommy sing a different Spaceman song. There's plenty to choose from, and there's plenty good ones to choose from.
And there's plenty that have never been performed live by Ace. So, Save Your Love.
Save Your Love.
Rocket Ride hasn't been performed by Kiss with Ace.
Sure.
Talk to Me. I'm just thinking back to the European focus group in 1980 that listened to the album and decided what were the good songs. So Torpedo Girl, shit. I mean,
I don't think we have to worry about him doing that.
No.
But I think it'd be fun to mix things up to hear Tommy do a different Spaceman song. At this point, we've been doing whenever Tommy sings a song. Yeah, he did Out of This World when they toured for Monster. But anytime he's done a song by the original Spaceman, it's always been Shock Me. So I'd be really excited to hear him switch that up. And you don't have to do anything super rare like Torpedo Girl. You can do Talk to Me. You could do Rocket Ride. I think that would be a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. But what I really find strange is I really have no major criticisms of this set, which it's a very rare thing for someone like me to just come out of it and feeling, wow, they hit everything, every area of the catalog, and I've really got no complaints whatsoever.
I agree, because I'll be the first one to start bitching about set lists and stale set lists. And when I saw the set list Saturday morning, I was impressed. I was taken back at how many different albums were represented, how they did the classics, and they threw in the gems like the Crazy Nights, like the Hide Your Hearts, and the Flaming Newts, and even the Say Yeah for the diehards. You can even put Say Yeah with the diehards, because not everyone went up and bought Sonic Boom, so it's really for the diehards as well. So to me, it's an exciting set list, and I'm really interested to hear what carries over to Europe next week.
Yeah, I can't wait to see the stage for Europe, because obviously we haven't seen that yet. I can't wait to see what they do. I also wanted to say kudos to Paul for mentioning the albums that these come off, because one of the things that...
The correct album.
Well, that always helps. He may have goofed a bit on Crazy Nights being 88, 87, and started with one. But, with something like Say Yeah, he's selling the product. If someone in the audience liked that and didn't know that Sonic Boom was a Kiss album, because these guys are casuals, Paul's done a service to his business by saying this is off Sonic Boom. And I'd always kind of criticized when he didn't mention the album. Some of that stuff came off because there may be people who have never heard that before, and if it's their first Kiss concert, a lot of these may be their first experiences of the Kiss catalog, and they've gone deep. So let people know where they can get this stuff, and I think it's just the smart thing to do in this day and age.
Absolutely, I applaud them for how diverse that set list was, and letting people know, because like you said, it is a lot of people's first Kiss show. It might not, and for some people, it might be their first introduction to Kiss. They might only know Detroit Rock City and Rock and Roll Night, but they're going because, it's a show and it's Kiss. I've heard it's a lot of fun. I heard it's, I've seen them on TV before, and it's explosions and it's this and it's that. It'll be fun. Let's go. So, but then you go there and you're like, these guys can play pretty good music too. So, I like the fact that they're saying what albums that they come off.
Yep. So, it was a good night. It was a good weekend, and we've just talked 90 minutes on it. In addition to the
there's just two of us.
Yeah. Imagine if there were four. Oh God.
Good. Could have been a two-parter.
Yep. So fun show. Good work by the crew, the ones who did their job properly that night. In taking care of us through the meet and greet. They did a great job. Tough luck with the sound, in both parts of the show. It happens. But, again, when I was walking out, I had a big smile on my face. Everyone around me, there was no one storming up to customer service saying, give me a fucking refund now. I heard nothing but good things. And, Ken asked one thing the other day, any perception of them phoning it in? No. You can't phone in how hard they had to work that set, whether it was the meet and greet, whether it was the electric with the technical issues, for what it was, good effort. Good bloody effort.
That's awesome.
And apparently it was sold out, so.
Yeah, I see that. So,
right.
I'm interested to see the set list, the stage, and attendance next week when the tour starts. I've seen that some of the shows are sold out already.
Yeah.
So from that standpoint, it looks like it'll be well attended. I can't wait to critique and just check out set lists every morning for the next couple of weeks while they're on tour. It's always a fun time.
It's always a fun part of the year where you can, obviously we've got people on the FAQ who are actually counting dots on Ticketmaster for concerts to see how many seats are still left. And God bless them, because I wouldn't do it.
I have more time than I do.
I wait until the box scores or Polestar come out and get my stats the easy way, the officially reported ones. But it seems like there's a lot of last minute buying going on. I think. One of the people on Facebook had mentioned that Helsinki had, started finally shifting a lot more of its seats and looked like it was going to be a good turnout. So, hopefully they get a strong walk-up. Even, at a 2,700 seat place in Reno, had a walk-up contingent. There were people, the story I heard, and it's hearsay, was two girls went up and wanted to get the VIP upgrade, and only one was left for that, and everything else was gone. So one of them was able to get it, and the other one went back to her cheap seats. So, it's fun, it's exciting. Kiss is on tour again, people. Here we are. We're going to get to debate Paul Stanley's voice. We're going to debate whether Tommy Thayer is doing justice to things. Debate Eric Singer. Is he being appropriate, or is he being forced to drum down a level? And, what do people bitch about Gene for? There's going to be all of that. Instead, I say turn it around and look at the good stuff and celebrate the wins, knowing that they are still on tour in 2017. So that's the way I look at it.
When they did the farewell in 2000, I bought in and thought that was it. And when then they came back in 03 and then stabilized the lineup in 04. If you would have told me in 04 they'll still be touring in 2017, I would have said no, they'll be done by then. Yeah. But they're still touring, and they're still touring strong. So, it's something to be celebrated, like you said.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's bring this one to a close. To take us out, I'm not going to let Lonnie wrap up. I'm going to let a little bit of Rock and Roll All Night wrap up for us. So, Lonnie, thank you for taking the reins tonight and guiding me through my memories. I appreciate you doing so. Thank you all for listening. To everyone from the board who I met at the show, Go Thunder. Nice to meet you in person, particularly. Stands out. Some of the usual suspects who I've seen at some of the other events this year. Great to see you guys again. And even actually remember your names, because I'm terrible with that sort of thing. It was great to be a part of this community and see everyone, and I look forward to getting out to more events. The Peter Criss thing, can't wait for that, and hopefully Gene Simmons in Riverside. So from Lonnie and myself, here's a bit of Rock and Roll All Night. We'll see you next time on the board and wherever you listen to the show. Bye for now. All sales are final, there are no refunds. If you'd like, look us up on Facebook or come over to the KissFAQ message board and discuss the topic we broadcast today. Don't forget to rate us on iTunes, Spreaker, or wherever you've listened to the show. We hope you'll join us again.